Indiana's loss to Notre Dame highlights a college football playoff blunder that must not be repeated. As the inaugural season of an expanded college football playoff, CFP, unfolds, it brings with it a glaring lesson. Mistakes made by the selection committee cannot happen again. The spectacle of Indiana's inclusion in the postseason tournament has turned into an embarrassing misstep that demands immediate correction. Notre Dame's 27-17 victory over Indiana on Friday night was not just another playoff game. It was an autopsy of a flawed selection process. Despite Indiana's late-game push, including 2 touchdowns in the final 90 seconds, the outcome underscored what many had suspected all along. Indiana did not belong in the CFP. The controversial selection of Indiana's inclusion was perplexing from the start. A team that had not defeated a single opponent with a winning record during the regular season somehow secured a spot among the nation's elite. Their 11-1 record, bolstered by victories over underwhelming teams such as Florida International, Western Illinois, and Charlotte, painted a misleading picture. 2 of those opponents even dismissed their head coaches at season's end due to their poor performance. Yet, the CFP selection committee seemed enamored by Indiana's win total rather than the quality of their schedule. Ranked 9th in the initial playoff standings, Indiana's path to the postseason seemed predetermined, despite their clear lack of credentials. A predictable outcome. The flaws in Indiana's resume became painfully evident against Notre Dame. The Hoosiers' vaunted #1 rush defense crumbled as Notre Dame's Jeremiah Love sprinted for a record-breaking 98-yard touchdown. Meanwhile, Indiana's offense sputtered, failing to capitalize on opportunities and repeatedly settling for punts or turnovers. Notre Dame head coach Marcus Freeman acknowledged the late-game errors by his team but framed them as a humbling experience. "It's a chance for us to get back to work as we prepare for the next challenge," Freeman said, referring to their upcoming quarterfinal clash with SEC champions Georgia. For Indiana, the narrative was less about growth and more about misplaced expectations. "Part of life is learning how to deal with disappointment the proper way," said Indiana head coach Curt Cignetti. But for fans and analysts, this disappointment was not a learning moment. It was a preventable error by the selection committee. A history of missteps. While the CFP committee has made controversial decisions before, Ohio State over Penn State in 2016 and Notre Dame over Texas A&M in 2020, Indiana's selection marks a new low. Teams like Alabama, Miami, and Ole Miss, all arguably more deserving, were left out in favor of a program that had only 1 game of significance all season, a 23-point loss to Ohio State. Looking ahead, the CFP format will remain intact through the 2025 season, but changes are likely on the horizon. Officials from major conferences, including the SEC and Big Ten, have called for a reassessment of the selection process. Discussions include revisiting the metrics used to evaluate teams and even questioning whether a selection committee is necessary at all. "It's one season, so I don't like to be a prisoner of the moment," said Oklahoma Athletic Director Joe Castiglione. "But it's incumbent upon us to assess everything." As the playoff system evolves, one thing is clear: another debacle like Indiana's inclusion cannot happen. The credibility of college football's postseason depends on learning from this glaring error and ensuring that future tournaments feature only the most deserving teams. This lesson, born of Indiana's undeserved playoff berth, serves as a cautionary tale for the sports keepers as they prepare for the next chapter of college football's storied history. Matt Hayes is the senior national college football writer for USA Today Sports Network. Follow him on X at @MathAsCFB.